I'm Emily, and I'm going to show you how to make a cake with a sprinkle explosion inside, piñata style, which is a really fun way to do a gender reveal. After you've baked your cake layers and let them cool, and leveled and divided them if you're going to do that, use a round cookie cutter to cut out the middle of all of the layers except one, and this one will go at the top, like the lid of the cake. Push the middle sections of the cake out and use those for another project, like cake pops, or you can eat them. I'm attaching my cake board to the counter with a ring of masking tape so it doesn't slide around as I assemble my cake. I'm piping a ring of buttercream around the bottom layer of the cake, and this buttercream will secure the cake onto the cake board. You can spread the buttercream on if you don't have a piping bag. Piping on the next layer of filling, and putting the next layer of cake on top, and then filling the hole in the middle with my sprinkles. You can use pink for a girl or blue for a boy. I'm just making this for fun, so I'm using both colours. Pour the sprinkles all the way up to the top of the cake, and then add another layer of filling before attaching the top layer, which is the one without the hole in the middle. Now frost your cake with a crumb coat and a final coat of frosting. I'm using my 4-minute buttercream for this, and I've put the link in the screen and in the description below. If you cut a hole in the top layer of cake, the frosting would slide down into the cake, it would get all over the sprinkles, and it would be really messy when you cut it. So that's why you leave the top layer of cake intact. If you're enjoying this tutorial, please click the thumbs up button. To decorate the outside of this cake, I'm going to add pink and blue details, and I've chilled the cake to set the frosting first. You'll need an offset spatula for this, or you can use the back of a spoon, and you can either apply the frosting with that, or you can put it in a piping bag with no tip or with a round tip. All of them work, and I'm going to demonstrate all three. For this pale pink, I'm spreading the buttercream onto the cake with my offset spatula, and then I'm swishing it upwards to make a neater patch of frosting. I'm doing a few of these around the cake and then changing to a bright pink, which is in a piping bag with no tip. I'm squeezing the buttercream onto the cake and then using my offset spatula to swish it upwards in the same way I did for the pale pink, and I'm doing a few of these around the cake. For the turquoise frosting in the piping bag with a round tip, the technique is exactly the same: squeeze and then swish. You'll notice that the coloured patches look just as neat whether they're applied with the spatula or the piping bag with or without the tip, so you can use whatever tools you have handy. I'm continuing with more colours, overlapping them all slightly to cover the bottom few inches of the cake. I like that the colours are blending a bit as I swish them on, but if you want them to be more distinct, you can chill the cake after each colour of frosting so that it sets and doesn't blend with the next colour you apply. I'm tidying up my cake board by wiping off some smudges of frosting with a paper towel, or if you've chilled your cake so the smudges have set, you can use your offset spatula to scrape them off. I'm adding a few more swishes higher up on the sides of the cake, changing colours as I go, and then sticking on a few sprinkles. Because the coloured frosting is still sticky since I've only just applied it, the sprinkles stick really easily. If your frosting's set, they'll still stick, you just have to push a little bit harder. To finish off the cake, I'm adding some swishes and sprinkles on top, and now comes the fun part. It's time to cut the cake! Before I do that, I want to take just 20 seconds to tell you about my new online course, The Basics of Cake. If you like the little tips I share throughout my tutorials, you're going to love this course. I share hundreds or maybe thousands of tips on how to mix, bake, assemble, frost, decorate, store, transport, and serve cakes. Each stage of the cake making process is broken down into steps, all demonstrated with videos using several cakes to explain everything. If you want to find out more, click the link in the screen, or I'll put it in the description below. Okay, let's cut this beauty open. I've kept this cake in the fridge, but took it out about 2 hours before cutting it, so the cake isn't too cold and tastes delicious, but so that the frosting and cake hold their shape nicely when I cut into it. Slicing a cake like this looks much more dramatic if you cut a big slice, and there we go, a sprinkle explosion! Thanks for watching! I share a new cake decorating tutorial every week, so if you don't want to miss one, click the red button to subscribe to my channel.